All right, so a single attack is sending these massive shockwaves around the world. But here's the thing. It's not really about who was targeted. It's about where. We're talking about an Israeli strike on Hamas leadership, but this didn't happen in Gaza. Nope, this happened in Doha, Qatar, a place that's supposed to be neutral territory. And a decision like that, it's basically lit a diplomatic firestorm. So we're going to unpack exactly why that is.
Seriously, the location is everything here. This wasn't some strike on the front lines, not even close. We're talking hundreds of miles away in a country that's supposed to be a key mediator in this whole conflict. Think about it. When you attack someone on the home turf of the negotiator, you're not just escalating things, you're putting the entire peace process at risk. It's a huge gamble.
Okay, so let's zoom in on the strike itself. Targeting Hamas leadership on foreign soil, especially in Qatar's capital, that's a really high-stakes move. You just know it's going to get the whole world's attention. And, well, it absolutely did.
But before we get into all the diplomatic fallout and the international headlines, we've got to talk about the immediate impact. The human cost of this one single strike.
So Hamas reported that 5 of its members were killed, and that included the son of a senior leader, Khalil al-Hayya. But, and this is the detail that just changes the entire political equation, a member of Qatar's own security forces was also killed. Just like that, with that one casualty, this wasn't just an attack on Hamas anymore. It became an attack that directly hit the host nation.
So, as you can probably guess, the backlash was, well, it was swift and it was global. When you attack a diplomatic hub like that, you're going to draw fire from pretty much everywhere. Let's take a look at how the world reacted. First up, the host country, Qatar. They fired back right away, calling it a cowardly attack. But they also made a point to say they got no warning from the United States, which, as you know, is a key Israeli ally. And by saying that, they immediately dragged another global superpower right into the middle of this mess.
And this condemnation wasn't just coming from the region. You had major Western powers like France and the UK weighing in, calling it unacceptable. They really honed in on the violation of a core idea: national sovereignty. Basically, you can't just conduct military operations in another country without their permission. So this framed the strike not just as part of the ongoing conflict, but as a potential breach of international law. This sentiment was echoed by Saudi Arabia, a huge player in the Middle East. They used some really strong language, calling it a brutal Israeli aggression. Now, when a nation that's so central to any future peace talks uses words that strong, it's a big deal. It could signal a real hardening of their position.
So you might be wondering, why such an intense, unified reaction from so many different countries? Well, to really get it, you have to zoom out and look at the staggering backdrop this one attack is set against, the much wider conflict that's been raging since last fall.
This number, it really just hangs over everything. Since October 2023, the number of people killed in Gaza has climbed past 64,000. So it's against this backdrop of just immense loss that the world heard the news from Doha. And it just fueled this perception of a conflict that's constantly expanding, with no end in sight.
And it's not just the death toll. On top of that, more than 163,000 people have been wounded. And then there are thousands more who are just missing, likely buried under the rubble. The scale of the human cost is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around. And of course, to understand the context for this entire current phase of the war, you have to go back to what triggered it. On October 7th, the attacks inside Israel killed 1,139 people, and hundreds more were taken captive. That was the event that really set the current military campaign into motion. So, all of this leaves us with a really big question. This attack in Doha, it was never just about the specific people who were targeted, it was all about where it happened. It's a stark reminder that in modern warfare, the battlefield isn't always some clearly defined line on a map. When a conflict spills over to what's supposed to be neutral territory, it can instantly blow up from a regional fight into a global diplomatic crisis. And it really makes you think, what does the future of international relations even look like when the front lines can pop up literally anywhere in the world?